I mean, should we talk about some winners? We spoke about it with Doogie and Mina as well there. Who would you have as your winners of the window?
Man City. I think if they'd have kept Zinchenko, it would have been a 10 out of 10 window. Perfect window.
Really?
Because they didn't keep him, and obviously they've given him to Arsenal as well. I'm not sure if I'm fond of that. Something like Sterling with 1 year left on his contract, the fee they got, sending him to Chelsea where it'll be a lot more difficult for him, completely rate that. But Zinchenko, don't rate them doing that at all. But apart from that...
Why, you just think they left themselves short there, even though they brought Gomez in?
Yeah, because it's still a position where obviously now, because Cancelo obviously plays on the left, so it's fine, and they've got Sergio Gomez, but it's that right-hand side now, because obviously with Kyle Walker, and I just think Cancelo being an option on the right, and then Zinchenko and Sergio Gomez on the left. That's all I think, but everything else they've done it early, they've replaced a lot of people as well. Keeping Bernardo Silva, I think that was huge.
Yeah,
and the fees that they've got as well, Jesus and Sterling nearly 100 million for those two with a year left on their contract. So I just think they've had an insane.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. City for you, biggest winners?
Do you know what? I totally agree with the Zinchenko thing, but I think they were probably pretty confident that they weren't going to get sucked into a ridiculous bidding war for Cucurella. I imagine when they offered 30 plus 10, they thought, yeah, we're going to secure a much better than league average left back, and he's going to contest that left hand side, probably get 1,500 minutes. But then Chelsea paid 62 million for him. Yeah. So yeah, I respect them all the more for not getting sucked into that. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about some of the less glamorous sides. I think Brentford have had a fantastic window. I think Southampton, and I mean, you've disagreed on this on Sunday Vibes in the past, but to rebuild the spine of your side for £50 million, particularly if they get... I've not updated myself on Southampton's current situation, but if they get Kaletakar, if they get Lacroix...
I think Lacroix's fallen through, but Kaletakar looks like it's going to happen.
Samadozi's gone through as well from City.
Yeah.
Southampton's head of recruitment is Joe Shields, who was at City's academy for 9 years, which I think explains...
Yeah, he was the head of their academy recruitment, and now he's gone to become the head of recruitment at Southampton, which is obviously why Lavia, Bazunu... all the boys are suddenly rolling through the door, which I totally respect. And I don't get me wrong, I think there's definite positives at Southampton. My bigger worry for Southampton is in the short term. It's like these young boys that have got to gel real quick. And I know Bella Kotchap's hit the ground running. His partnership with Salisu looks exciting. Still concerned.
Lost Romeo as well. Yeah. I think they might regret that.
I just don't see where the goals come from.
No, I'd agree. Che Adams has started the season well. Adam Armstrong, you're hoping to get more out of him.
He's been against Chelsea as well.
Yeah, precisely. I also think PSG, if we're going to go a little bit continental, have had a great window of kind of simultaneously. They've made the squad younger. The outlay isn't massive. I think they probably spent 130, if memory serves me correctly.
Chuck another 200 on top of Mbappe signing
agent fees.
And agent fees.
And think brought in another 40 while making the squad younger, while removing egos. Like Luis Campos has just enacted his vision on that club within a month, 2 months. And when you bring in people of that calibre, it just shows you how much can get done in such little time. And I think Manchester United will be looking at PSG's, I don't know, reinvention, let's say. Maybe that's a little bit strong, but reimagination. And be thinking, how did that happen so quickly?
Well, let's see them do it first, though. Let's see them do it. Because they can only be measured against winning the Champions League.
And that is one of your favourite narratives of the season.
And it's the truth. That is the truth. That's the only way you can measure against PSG's success. So let's see how they do. But I agree with a couple of your Premier League shouts. I want to talk about Forest as well. Do we have Forest as potential winners?
They just keep going, don't they?
Are they at 20? I think they might be at 20 now. I think 20 plus potentially. With
Aurier is the most recent that they're interested in. It's just all to do with work permit now.
Yeah, I was going to say you made a good point with work permit.
Yeah,
doesn't have to play a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah, usually it's about how many starts you'll get, and as much as Aurier, I think they need a position. They need someone in that right wing back role, another body. Well, I say they need more bodies. Somehow they do actually need more bodies in a certain position. However, the form Nico Williams is in, his age, I want him to be the one starting. So I wouldn't bring Aurier in and he takes over Nico Williams' spot. So it's whether or not they can give him enough minutes to get that over the line.
And it looks like Michy Batshuayi is going to get done as well. The forward options now. Where does Michy Batshuayi fit?
Why?
Emmanuel Dennis can't get a game.
I don't know, mate. Obviously, Awaniyi was a club record signing, probably about, I don't know if
until Morgan Gibbs-White came in.
Morgan Gibbs-White for 25.
And Jesse Lingard, let's not forget, he's on big old chunk.
And the rest. I don't know what formation Steve Cooper's going to settle on, but I think a lot of us imagined it to be
Lingard. 3-4-3.
Yeah, Lingard on the right, Dennis on the left, Awaniyi down the middle, and that felt like it had good balance. It felt like, great work rate. Maybe Awani, whose only real season of banging in the top flight was last season for Union Berlin. Like, I think it's probably clever to bring in a backup striker who's capable of getting goals at Premier League level. So I don't mind Batshuayi, but yeah, there's going to be some big names that don't get an awful lot of minutes.
Yeah,
there.
I'm not sure like where Emmanuel Dennis plays at all. Like, I think I don't see Brennan Johnson being dropped at the moment by
I think you
Steve
mentioned Brennan
Cooper.
Johnson, great shout.
And Morgan Gibbs White's the record transfer. Jesse Lingard is a key component to the side, one of the most experienced Premier League operators they've got on huge wages. Like, where does Emmanuel Dennis play? He came in at like £25 million. What, a rotation with Awani?
I think Dennis on the left's good though as well. I think Lingard's best role is in the middle, behind the attackers. I noticed when Forest played West Ham, actually, you could see which player there in that Forest team. They're all really good, but you could see which player knows the Premier League, whether that's the timing of when he went down, little niggly fouls he committed. I just think they could do with him in the centre of the pitch.
Yeah, help them manage the game towards the end.
It's an unbelievable window, though, for a promoted side to bring in 20 players for a record amount of money. Like, even players like Remo Freuler and Renan Lodi coming in, you're like, what the hell is going on?
They've overpaid for anyone. This is the impressive thing about it.
Like, maybe Morgan.
It sounds, apart from Gibbs White, that's pretty much what I was building to. Like, to get someone like Remo Freuler for £9 million is absolutely sensational. And we've said this time and time again. They probably have signed 21 players, but they needed to sign 10 just to replace.
Well, if Willy Bolly and Batshuayi, I think they'll be at 23. If Willy Bolly and Batshuayi and all of these players, I think Josh Bowler is potentially involved as well. I mean, it's got to be up there, isn't it? Fulham as well. Another potential dark horse winner. I think they've done some great business, Fulham.
Go on, enlighten me.
I think Palhinha is a ridiculous pickup for a club like Fulham, honestly. I know that Kazawa is not going to set the world alight, but, you know, I think even the striker, his name has just escaped me, that was at Tottenham, Diego Carlos?
Vinicius.
Carlos Vinicius, that's exactly who I was thinking. Playing up front, I think that's a great pickup for Fulham as a Mitrovic sort of like support act. I think they've had a really good window.
Yeah, I think they're probably looking at his goals to start the season and thinking if anything happens to this guy, we're in deep trouble. And Carlos Vinicius played second fiddle to Harry Kane well. I mean, it was mainly in the Europa League, like his goal contributions came, right? But very sound forward planning. Get a backup striker. He's a good backup striker.
And James, okay signing.
Add some genuine pace.
What do you make of Fulham's business?
I think it's a hindsight window, though. I think we will, similar with Everton, I just feel like on paper they've improved. They've done what they can. I'm certainly not trying to throw Fulham under the bus, but I want to see it week in, week out. I want to see it for a little bit longer before I make a decision on them. I don't. You see this a lot with teams where they'll spend a lot of money. I think Palhinha's a brilliant signing, but yeah, I still think I'm not calling it off. I'm not saying it's bad, but in a similar way to Everton, you look at the signings they've made. It's like with Everton especially, they're sort of like 7 out of 10 signings. They're decent signings. But I think we'll look back in a year and make our decision.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Not totally in love at this point. I mean, it's a Diop cost a fair amount. They're letting people like Anguissa go to Napoli for like 13, 14 mil. And I think he's a Premier League caliber player. Of course, that was sort of in the offing for a long time, wasn't it? They've lost people like Fabio Carvalho. So they had a lot of ground to make up.
Respect Andreas Pereira, mate, because he's come in.
He's made a decent start. Well. Yeah. Great first sub to have on Fantasy Premier League.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
Yeah.
I even started him this week, and actually, I think he picked up 5 or 6 points.